Welcome back, guys! In the last lesson, we learned how to create a different view for each single post of our theme. In today's lesson, we go a little further by enabling a comment form for all those pages. First of all, let's open one of our posts for editing. What I'm going to show here will vary according to the editor you're using, okay? Since Gutenberg and the classic editor are a bit different. Here on Gutenberg, which is the new WordPress editor, we have this option down here called Discussion. But over there in the classic editor, this option is right below the editor box. Usually, your WordPress comes with these two checkboxes selected. Thus, all WordPress posts by default allow you to make comments. This area here allows us to define whether or not the comments will be allowed for a specific post. If we click here, we disable comments on this specific post. Let's uncheck this and say we don't want comments for this post. So no visitors can comment on this post, okay? The same thing works for pages. We may or may not allow comments for any pages within WordPress. Well, this explanation is important in order to understand the code that you'll be using to call the comments form within our posts, and thus allow our visitors to interact with our content. Let's open up our single.php file. And here, before the loop is finished, let's perform a check. Let's create an if block. Let's close it out here with an end if, so we will not have problems in the future. And here inside the parentheses, we want to check if comments are opened for the post, the one that is being displayed at the moment by the WordPress loop. Inside this check, we're going to pass the PHP OR operator, which are these two pipes. And we're going to finish by calling another function that will return the number of comments we have for this post. This last function here can return a value of 0, or if there are comments for the post that is in the loop, it returns the number of comments. But pay attention, I said it will return, that is, it doesn't display the number on screen, it just returns it, right? And here to finish out, we call the comments underscore template function. Alright, let me explain this step by step so there's no doubt about what's going on here. What's this if doing here? Well, it's checking two conditions here in the parentheses. If one of these situations return true, it will jump right here into the block and run a function called comments template, which does nothing more than to display a comment form on the screen. Later on, I'll explain a particularity about this function. Here, as you can see, we have an OR statement, and this means that what is inside the parentheses will be true if one side of the OR returns true. This is basic programming logic, so if the post is open for comments, or if there's some comment for the post, the comments will be displayed. For example, let's assume the comments are closed for the post brought by the loop, but this getComments number returns the value 5. That is, there are 5 old comments for that post. That is to say, it's not because the post is closed for comments that I won't show the previous comments. That's more or less the logic of what's happening here. Cool. Now, this comments template function, what it basically does is build a standard comment form on the screen. For this to work, you need to have a file called comments.php in the root of the theme folder. However, this file is a bit complex for us to build here in this course, although it's essential. To get around this difficulty, we will do what a good part of the WordPress theme developers do. Let's grab a copy of the comments.php file of some of the native WordPress themes. I'll choose the comments.php file from the 2016 theme, okay? The reason here is that other themes like the 2017, for example, have some specialized functions inside it. If we copy the file without copying the body of the function, we'll end up seeing some errors on the screen. So the most recommended for now is this one, 2016. If your WordPress doesn't have 2016 installed, you can download it or take a look at some other theme. You can choose one that preferably doesn't have any specialized function inside it. Otherwise, you can either copy the body of the function to your own theme or adapt the file so that it becomes independent of the specialized function. So I'm going to create a file called comments.php here in my theme. And paste the code from the native theme right here. Well, before you ask me, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, right? This is one of the benefits of WordPress being open source. In fact, many themes that can be downloaded from the WordPress repository itself are made this way. The developers only copy the comments.php file. So I'll go ahead and modify the documentation. Well, let's save this file and open one of the posts. Let's start by opening a post that are not closed for comments. For example, this one. And check it out, we have now our comments form. As I am logged into the site, you see that the form is displaying like this. Now, if I log off, you have a slightly different form. Now, if I want to comment, I have to give more details like my name, my email, etc. Now, let's choose that post. We decided it wouldn't be opened for comments. And as comments are not opened for this post, we simply don't have the form displaying on it. But we want to change that. Let's open this post for comments then. Now, reloading the page. We have the form to make comments. Well, something important. The same thing we did here in single.php file has to be done in the page.php file as well. That's because the comments should be enabled not only in posts, but also in pages. It's mandatory, okay? So let's make the same modifications in page.php. Let's copy this code. And paste it here under the content. Another hint. If your theme is still not showing the form, it may be that your installation is completely closed for comments. You can check several other rules regarding the discussion within your site by going over to Settings, Discussion. For example, here I can define that my site will not accept comments. Thus, regardless of the individual configuration of each post or each page, your site will never accept comments from visitors. One more thing before we finish this lesson. Optionally, you can indicate another file to work with this comment form. To do this, you just need to create another file here at the root of your theme and pass its name as a parameter to the comments template function. You can even do an exercise if you want. So you can do the following. Copy everything you have in your comments.php file and make a new file out of it. Name that file something.php. Of course, it doesn't have to be something.php. You can give it another name, right? You can make any changes to it. For example, you can move the tags from one place to another, remove some fields, you name it. Then call this modified file inside the comments template function. To do this, you simply pass the file name inside single quotes, starting with a trailing slash. And see what happens. You'll get a lot of ideas from that, I'm sure. But I advise you to undo the changes later and work only with the file we created in this lesson, right? Another thing I'm going to offer you later is the CSS for the comments area. You can copy the CSS changes into the next lessons file. As always, everything will be well identified in the CSS file so you don't get lost. So that's it. We'll be back in the next lesson. Until then, guys.